Hey guys, and welcome to another Joint Movement DPT's video. Today we have a unique one for you. This is going to be about our RV newbie experience and our mistakes, and we just wanted to share it with you so that you can avoid doing it as well. Here we go.
It's a Sunday and I feel alright for the first time. It's a Sunday and I feel alright for the first time.
Well, Houston, we have a problem. There's a heat advisory right now out for our area of Montana. Sunday through Tuesday is supposed to be highs of 107. Today's Monday, and we're at the hottest part of the day, right around 4 o'clock. And our RV power connection is melting. Ryan is at work. I was working from home, and we had noticed that our electric connection looked a little weird. But yesterday it looked fine. The connection was in contact. It just looked like one of the connectors was like kind of burning a little bit. So I checked on it today because it's super hot, and I thought now would be the time to check on it, and the connection between the two are melting. So I freaked out and I ran to the hardware store and I got a new 30 amp extension cord. Then I went to the other hardware store just to see if they had a cheaper one, and I learned some very valuable information. So for you new RVers out there, especially the ones who are full-time living, this is important to know. I'm going to share it with you. So as you can see, the plug from our RV does not reach all the way to our podium. So we have the extension cord, and you can see that it is pretty darn melted, and that's a pretty big fire hazard. So what I learned at the second hardware store is that every RV plug that's hardwired into your RV and coming out, they have an advisory on the end of it where they tell you that you shouldn't hook up an extension cord to it. But they sell extension cords, which is so weird, because if you're not supposed to use it, why do we have them? And what I learned is that when you have an extension cord, your connection is never 100%. So that 25% of energy that is not making the connection is arcing between our plastic pieces, and it's causing it to melt. And that is a fire hazard. A big one. So that's the first piece of valuable information that I found out. If at all possible, just plug in straight to your podium and try to avoid using an extension cord. The other thing I learned is that you shouldn't leave your connection, if you do have to use an extension cord, lying on the ground. The guy at the hardware store said that it like either absorbs moisture from the ground or it puts off moisture into the ground or something when it's so hot and when the connection isn't 100%. I don't really get that, but that's what he said. So if you do have to have a connection to an extension cord, he said it's really good to house it in like an old hard-sided cooler and like drilling holes into either side and making the connection inside of the cooler and letting it sit there and stay protected from moisture and from just lying straight on the ground. The other thing that is a little tool that I got from my little hardware store run is called this dielectric grease. Doop, there it is. It seals, protects, and insulates electrical connections. So if you do have to hook up a extension cord, or even if you're just plugging into the podium, you can put this on your connection and it protects it, which is pretty cool. Never heard of it. Sounds weird. I wouldn't think to put stuff around electrical connections, but that's what it's made for, and it's supposed to help. So if you're dealing with this, you can also buy this at your local hardware store, or I'm sure on Amazon. All right. it was getting windy, so I put the awning up all by myself, which I would never think that I could actually do until you got to do it, you know? And so you just figure it out. But for real though, if full-time RV living and exploring has taught me anything, it's that I can conquer my fears. Having amazing payoffs for conquering them, like amazing views and experiences, has just shown me that I can do things that I otherwise would think that I am too afraid to do or that I can't do. And so even though that's hard, that's been a cool thing to realize. I lasted a total of, I think, under 10 minutes in the RV. It's already hot and I'm already sweating. So I'm gonna go shopping, because why not? And then I'll probably find a nice cool seat in a restaurant and have a nice cool soda until Ryan gets off work and we can kind of figure out what to do over here. So we're back at the RV. I went and sat at the farmhouse for a little bit while Ryan finished up work, and then we had a few phone calls that we just sat in the car for because it was the only place that had air conditioning. Now we're back here at the RV. We've got the windows open. There's a breeze coming through, but it's still hot. But at least the sun isn't shining and beating down. I'm gonna show you what we're up to now.
So this is the cord that I'm going to try to salvage. This is the extension cord we were using. And it melted a little bit around these two bottom prongs. And this was hooked into our surge protector. The surge protector is showing that it's not coming from our podium. But I think we had too long of an extension cord. I think that was overheating at the weakest points, which was where we plugged into the surge protector, and then of course where our extension cord hooked into our main RV. Now, the other end of this extension cord is totally blown. It's melted to pieces, but the cord itself is okay, and this plug isn't bad. Now, eventually I'd want to replace this because you can see where it kind of melted. Right now I'm just taking a little bitty knife and I'm just kind of cutting down some of the buildup so we have a cleaner connection. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop off the bad end. So this is the end of our extension cord. As you can see, it's just melted completely, and it looks like it was just arcing over and kind of attacking the weakest points. But the cord itself looks okay, and it's 100 degrees here right now in Montana, and so we're kind of just trying to figure out a way to buy some time until I can get a new cord. And so what I'm going to do is, since this plug doesn't look horrible, doesn't look great, but doesn't look as bad as this one, I'm going to go ahead and cut off this end, so meaning just chop it, and there'll be 3 big wires in there, and I'm going to hardwire that into our RV, and we're going to use this as our main plug. Now, the reason why we're using an extension cord is because we were way too far from the podium, and we'd been using it for a while, and so I don't know why now it started to overheat. It might be due to it being really hot and our air conditioner having to work really hard. Might have just been pulling more energy through there than we could. So what we're also going to have to do is take the RV and move it closer to the podium. We didn't do that originally because we didn't want to block the mountain view from the people we rent from, but we got their permission now that there's a fire hazard to move closer to the podium. So I just got to have a cord that's viable. So we're going to try that. We're going to see how it goes.
I feel like you're about to do an amputation. This is
surgical intervention. What you'll find is when you own an RV, new or old, you do a lot of surgical interventions. That's why I have my medical box right here. Okay. Not the right tools for this, but it got the job done.
Let's see.
So,
can you show me the residual limb?
Removal, residual limb. So on this, it's just kind of your standard 10 gauge cord. That's what all RV cords are. And so inside of it, you're going to find 3 wires. You're going to find a green, a black, and a white wire. Green is your ground wire, black should be your hot wire, and then the white is your neutral wire. I'll just kind of open up this casing a little bit, see if I can shave it off so I can get some of the wires more exposed for us. And by all means, I am not an electrician at all. Definitely check into some other resources. But this is just from the little bit that I have done on my own. And of course looked up on the internet stuff. And I've already replaced this cord one time when we first got the RV, so that's why I know this, not because I'm brilliant. Or, as you can see, have the tools to properly do this. But when you're on the road, you don't always have all the tools you need, unless you're an electrician. Then you might. Okay, in here we have a little box that our extension cord is hardwired into, and so that's where your 3 wires are. So I just got to take these apart, and then we will weave this up through there and then hook them in, and then we have our new extension cord. Screwdriver. So there's just a little metal thing down here to really keep the wire from being pulled out. So I just gotta loosen that up so I can pull the wire out. So this is the old bad wire that was originally hardwired in. We don't need that anymore. Now with these smaller wires, I do have wire strippers and cutters. These are like, I'm pretty sure from like the 1960s, so they don't really work that well. Yeah, so we got it ready to connect. I don't think that's going anywhere. Now, I just gotta take our 3 wires and make our connections. You wanna go white to white, black to black, green to green. And then I put one of these over it to make my connection, and I kind of push in a twist just so they're really good and connected. And then to ensure that we don't have any fire, I put some electrical tape on that so my cap doesn't come off. One wire down. Green to green.
Oh, that wasn't actually green, was it?
Well, the box should have a green one, but it just has a copper wire. And I know it's the ground because it grounds to this metal box and then it goes up in there as the ground. And last but not least, our black hot wire connection. Now you just gotta stuff all the wires back in your electrical box. And then I just slide my box down. Just tighten it up to make sure that box stays. Go. And we're newly wired in, which is good. We'll have to wind it up, sit it in here, and then do the big task of moving the RV about 5 feet that way. that should be fun.
Now we have to start the process of semi-packing up the RV. I think all I'm gonna do is get everything off the walls and off like our bedside tables and the kitchen table and the kitchen counter. But I'm gonna leave the plates, and we have dirty dishes out that I never got to today. So we're just gonna leave it because we're only scooting over like 5 feet. So let's hope for the best.
When you live full-time in one place, see, we do full-time RV travel, but our contracts are 3 months to 6 months in one place. And so, I mean, once we get somewhere, we really set up camp, really make it our home. And so just moving the RV 5 feet can seem like a bit of a chore because we've piled a lot of stuff on there. It's not like our typical, if we're doing drive days to our next contract, we're not in like really nice drive mode where everything's in its place. And so if you were going to do travel therapy and move around every 3 months, and you were just going to have your RV as kind of your living thing, then you can kind of do that. Just know you're going to take a little bit more time to pack up and leave. But if you want to use your travel trailer or motorhome or whatever you take as like some weekend adventure getaway camping at some places, then you'll want to have a better system than we got, so you can just get on the road a whole lot quicker.
Well, that was quite a process. But we have moved it, we have leveled it, and now all we have to do is hook it back up and make sure our new electrical connection works. Got this to wipe stuff?
So we just put it on there?
I think so.
Well, we got power, so it worked. It's kind of a temporary fix for now. We'll see kind of how it goes. We'll see if we're still melting at the end here. Then it might be something else, but we're hoping not. We're hoping that this at least gets us by. And I mean, we took out about 50 foot of power cord, which I think when you have an extended distance of cord, then it has to heat up more to push that power through there. And I think that's what was happening is we had, 7,500 feet of extension cord just to reach over here. And that was probably the RV newbie mistake to do. So it's better to use as least amount as you can. And I think it was just really trying to push all that power we were needing with running the AC and other appliances in the RV, that it was just overheating, and then the weakest point looked like this. So, well, hopefully our AC gets to kicking because it's still pretty warm out. And we'll put all of our stuff back to living. RV. Life. Fail.
It's a Sunday and I feel alright for the first time. Not a person or place, it's a feeling that's all mine. For so many years, I wish to be here. I wasn't aware that I was so near. It's a Sunday and I feel alright for the first time. It's a Sunday and I feel alright for the first time.